Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's all right. And let's just make sure that everything's okay here. Yeah. There's a. I think there's our emergency. There was just a EAM. Yeah. Some activity on the U.S. Air Force frequencies of the Global Command. Okay, let's prepare this, make this here. Nice to have all of you here as usual. There we go. And here we go. That is okay. So, one of those hectic days where I had so many things to do and I didn't even do all of them before doing the live show. So nice to have you here, and it's always cool to be here. We are live, of course, twice a week on this radio show where we talk about shortwave, we talk about radio in general, we tune the bands, and we have fun with radio. That's the thing here, having fun with radio. We, of course, talk about all aspects of radio, and we are a great gang of people here that are very helpful if you're new to the hobby of radio. This is the place to be. My name is Gilles, and I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And there's a beautiful chat room where you can join in some wonderful people that are great and helpful and fantastic. So hope that you have fun too. We also have a Facebook group. When all of this is over, you might say, "Hey, I'd like to, continue the conversation and post about all sorts of things that are radio related." So nice to have all of you here and to check out the to help others and to it's fun to see everybody's radios, everybody's shack, everybody's little radio world and geek radio world, and the man caves, and it's always fun to see everybody having fun and being a great people all around for radio hobby. And I say it so many times, this is a very solitary hobby. So that means that we often don't really have a lot of people to talk radio with, and often this is one of the missing parts of our hobby, because we're often alone doing it, and we're often in a world where others don't really like what we do and will refer to us as, "Oh, you're listening to that static again," or whatever. So here is the place where we all meet and we can all listen to our static together. So it's kind of cool to be here always, and I hope that everybody enjoys the show as usual. This is the place to be, to have fun. So we are Saturday, February 6th, an incredible out. 5th, sorry. It's incredible how time flies. I mean, it's just crazy. Already February, and just finished editing and sending up. We'll do a little promotion of a few things today, because why not promote some of the stuff that I do also that is radio related, of course, and the stuff that also could be fun for a lot of people. The first one is about the International Radio Report, which is a 30-minute show about radio that Sheldon Harvey and me co-host every week. It plays on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal every Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern Time. That's 15:30 UTC. And of course, we have a place where you can go and check it out also, which is the youtube.com slash international radio report. And there you can, of course, go and check out our shows. It's posted within about the hour after it has played on CKUT every Sunday. And it is a 30-minute show where we talk about every aspect of radio, of what's happening locally, stories that feel good stories of how radio can help, um, stories of all sorts of radio related subjects, ham radio contests, and all sorts of things. We pack. It's like Glenn Hauser. We pack a lot of stuff in 30 minutes, and it goes by like really quickly. So the new edition has been uploaded to CKUT computers today, which means it's going to play tomorrow morning. And that also means that tomorrow, if you don't stream it live from CKUT or listen live, you can actually go and check out our YouTube channel. You could go also to the ckut.ca webpage where there is an archive. They keep 3 months of the show. Problem with CKUT is often the archive are messed up and difficult to really work well. Sometimes the show's kind of truncated or missing parts, or we all often have complaints about the archive there. And it's one of the reasons why we came up with the idea of, well, maybe we could, do a little something and put it on YouTube, which of course works much better than the archives at CKUT most of the time. We got some great comments. And of course, why not join and subscribe to us on that International Radio Report page, where of course, you'll be notified every time we have a new show available. The other thing is, of course, something called the CIDX, the Canadian International DX Club. Uh, CIDX is a Canadian club, but it is also pretty much international. We have a wonderful publication called The Messenger. It is a monthly PDF sent to you through email. It is packed with information. I have the utility column. Miki Dalmich, that you guys see here, has a very interesting column, which is the QSL column. And we have a lot of people having different sides to the radio columns. And so lots of stuff in there. It's for everybody. There's, a utility, there's broadcasts, there's AM radio, there's pirate stuff, there's amateur radio. Eric Cottrell has the amateur radio column, which is great. And there's a lot of things. There's loggings. There's every aspect of radio is pretty much represented. It's not just catered to only one aspect in shortwave only. It's open to all the subjects. You can ask, if you have never asked, a sample copy of the messenger, and I believe the new messenger for February might actually be available at some point today, from what I've heard. So CIDX Club at yahoo.com. And if you've never, and it's very important because, Sheldon's not going to send one more if you have asked in the past. But if you've never asked and you were curious to see what the publication looks like, ask for a sample copy, CIDX Club at yahoo.com. And if you do like what you see, and if you enjoy it, $10 per year or $25 for 3 years, and you'll have that in your email every month. So I think it's worth it. I mean, it's a very nice publication, and always cool to have all the information in there. And why not join the CIDX Club and be part of a club? Because it's not just you're getting a magazine, you're part of a club. We have a monthly Zoom meeting. So every month, if you want to join and say hi to other members, you just join in, say hello. It's cool, relaxed, and you don't have to to over participate, you can just join in and say hello to everybody on that monthly Zoom meeting. So it's kind of cool, and it's a great little publication, great radio club since 1962, and so I've been probably the first time I've been a member of CIDX in the good old days when we had the paper bulletin. um, was somewhere around 1990-ish, 89, 90. Probably there I was a member of CIDX for the first time. It's been an on and off thing during the 90s, depending on what I was doing, and then came back. And a couple of years ago, well, Sheldon asked me, said, look, I see you listen to utility stuff, and we don't have a utility column. How about, would you like to join in and do a column? So I said, yeah, okay, why not? So lots of cool stuff in there to do. And coming up in a month's time, on March the 4th and 5th, we will have the Shortwave Fest, which is the Nashua Shortwave Festival that usually, for years and years and years, was, of course, a event that you would go to in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. But because of COVID last year, for the first time, it was virtual via Zoom. And this year, it will again be a virtual event. This is a great place to see all sorts of nice presentations of all kinds on different aspects of what's happening in radio. Pirate radio. There's Dan Robinson will show us his vintage receivers. Sheldon Harvey and me will be ending actually with the last presentation on Saturday. We'll actually talk about the state of radio, and in there's the CIDX hospitality suite that in between presentations, or if a particular presentation is not necessarily what you like, you can just join the hospitality suite and say hello to others. And we'll be, of course, hosting that. Sheldon is going to host it, host a big chunk of it, and we kind of take relay. Mickey Dalmage and me sometimes will have the command for a little while so that we can give Sheldon a break of being there all the time. It's 2 days packed with fun, and I tell you, the Zoom. Last year when I joined, I was thrilled. I had a lot of fun, and I mean, it's a great event to check out. So I think everybody should do so. It's $10 to actually join for the 2 day event, which is very cheap considering all the things that you will have. And so check that out. And you know what? $10, you're going to have a Friday, Saturday packed with all sorts of cool stuff, and really have fun with others. And it's a great time to, maybe meet up with other people. So swlfest.com is where you get all the details, and you can pay through PayPal. You do not need to have a PayPal account, but you can actually use that PayPal link to pay with a credit card for the $10. The $10 are there simply because of the Zoom. That, of course, is not a free thing. So from the last numbers we had, more than 100 people had joined, and I hope that we can really have a lot of people there for the 2 day event. So go check that out. Shortwave Festival is going to be, once again, a lot of fun, and it's coming up in about a month's time on March the 4th and 5th, and swlfest.com. Link I just posted is where you can go and check out the details. And why not join in and be there for the 2 days? Lots of cool presentations. You're going to have a lot of fun for sure. And there's a lot of it's just a great weekend of radio and radio fun. So check it out, swlfest.com. Here we go. The promotions are done. I hope everybody will check out one or the other. And have a great time with all of this. Okay. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Morgan City, Louisiana. Roberto Rojas, nice to have you here. Chin Chin, nice to have you here. There we go. The vodka cranberry, usual drink. We have David in Barcelona. ¿Cómo está mi amigo? Nice to have you on board and listening to Radio Capodistria, 1170 kilohertz on the Zycom ICR 8500. While moving around the 40-meter band with his Yaesu FT990. Pretty cool. Nick Sharp, nice to have you here. Says Radio Endera broadcast in French today only. Europe, 19 to 21. Yep, there was a Radio Endera broadcast. 2130 to 2330 is coming up on 7400. So that will probably be something to that might actually reach even North America. It was early this morning to North America. I believe 13 UTC, 12 UTC around that time on via WRMI 5850. I don't know if some of you have heard it, but yep. And there's going to be the 7400 kilohertz, 2130 to 2330 via Armenia. We're going to actually try to catch it here and see if we can hear that transmission, which will be directed to Africa, Asia, and I believe they want also South America in there. So that's going to be nice to check out. Nice to have you here, Nick. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you on board from Denver, Colorado. And they've reached minus 24 Celsius. That's cold. We are about at minus 12 at the time being. Tonight is going to drop down to minus 18, which is 0 Fahrenheit. Unfortunately, I have to check the outdoor station. My weather station stopped working, so my it's not displaying the outdoor weather anymore. So something's wrong. Something is not right. So I'm going to have to go outside a little later. I'm going to go outside after the show and check out if I can quickly fix it. Hopefully, it's just a little minor thing. Artist out of Crafter's Kitchen, nice to have you on board from Chile, Massachusetts. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona. Richard says, remembers back in 1968 when, let me just take it like this, when he cleaned out when I cleaned out my father's tool sheds and put my radios in there, it was 100 feet from the house. No noise of any kind. That was a Radio Shack. That's cool. Yeah. Of course, getting away from the house is always a good thing. Always a good thing. We have Jeff Williams from Southwest Cornwall in the UK. Nice to have you on board, my friend. David, KJ4CMY from Central Georgia. We have what do we have? We have let me just go down. Robert Cross, nice to have you here, my friend. Randall Cluntz, nice to have you here from Northeast Illinois. We have TVDXer, salut, ça va bien, j'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi, mon ami. Toujours un plaisir de t'avoir parmi nous de tout près de Montréal, near Montreal actually. Charlie McKee, nice to have you on board, VE2XCC, west of Quebec City, minus 10, and partly cloudy, buried in snow. Nothing like south of the St. Lawrence, so not complaining. Yeah, guys, south of the border, also lots of snow there. We had about half a foot here, maybe a little more. So it's we have a nice coverage. I would say that on the ground right now, we have probably about a foot and a half to 2 foot of snow on the ground. So it's not too bad. There was a little bit of melting this week when it went above zero, but still a lot of snow here. Okay, Christian Marcoux, salut. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. DJW883, nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania. ManMax 2069, nice to have you on board from Ohio. We have also Laura Robertson from Italy. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have you on board. What else do we have? Breakfast Newt from Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Nice to have you here. Andrew Simpson from windy part of England tonight. Nice to have you on board. Kimberly, nice to have you on board from California. K6YYL. Robert Cross says, I bought a 1960 radio last week. CIDX are struggling to get service manual. So for old, for it so old, I'm hoping to get it working. So, yeah, yeah, that's when you get really old receivers, it's difficult sometimes to get any manuals of any kind. Not everything is available, depending on the model. Keegan, Xn80X, nice to have you here. From Arkansas, we have Terry Cook from Montana, KF7BQ. Nice to have you here. It's pretty cool to have all of you here. We have, we have, Kimberly says, I love static. That should be a bumper sticker. I love static. Next to your vanity plate with your call sign, you have a bumper sticker that says, I love static. That'd be great. Wow, something weird. I'm just going to check something here. Some kind of interference, weird interference popped up. What else do we have? Yeah, well, I changed. I'm streaming with another computer. We kind of noticed on Wednesday that it was the computer I was using that was causing the problem. So I switched to another computer, which will be for now the streaming computer. It's because I'm using a lot of, apart from the laptop, which is a gaming laptop, and a Chromebook. The other computers I'm using, because of space considerations, I've been actually really happy with the mini PCs that I purchased, the B-Link mini PCs. So I've got two of them. One is the a more powerful one that is running a Windows Insider preview, and that's the one I was streaming with actually. And what's happening is that I believe that the last build of Windows Insiders might be a little buggy and causing some slowdowns. I've also noticed another thing yesterday. Well, we record the International Reader Report show via Skype, and usually it's pretty rock solid and have no problems. But yesterday and last week, I noticed that while we were recording, when Sheldon is reading his articles, he has these little breakups, very, very small. It's like it'll be just one syllable that's going to be kind of messed up from time to time. And yesterday it happened also. It's not bad enough that we stopped the recording, but I kind of figured that maybe that is also caused by the same thing and that it all is related. So we'll be doing the International Radio Report recording on that new machine that other machine that I'm streaming with right now. So I guess for now the other machine is maybe not a good idea. It's not necessarily a good idea usually, anyways, when you kind of go and use an insider machine to do stuff. So I'm gonna concentrate on that. The other machine is running Windows 10, and it doesn't have the minimum requirement for Windows 11, so it's going to stay on Windows 10 for as long as it works. And who knows when Windows 10 is out of service in 2025? Anyways, I probably will have changed it for something else. Okay, what else do we have? No problem. So the links of everything that I've talked about are in the chat room. Gary24 fan, nice to have you on board, and happy Saturday. Robert Cross picking up Spanish radio station on medium wave on my 1967 Hecker radio. So cool. JDA Dakota, nice to have you on board. WA0113SWL. We have Estrella Garcia. Nice to have you on board, Estrella. Zen Faros following along on the HF Plus Discovery U-Loop and SDR Duo MLA30 Plus. Pretty cool. We have John Hummel Noel. Nice to have you here. VE5JHN. Pretty cool to have you on board. Art, nice to have you here. K2ADC in New Jersey. Says he really enjoyed last week's show. I was thinking this week we're going to tune around the bands, do the regular stuff, but next week, next Saturday, we're going to have part two of QSL cards. I think it's a lot of people told me they really, really loved it. K6YYL, Kimberly says 10 meters is on fire right now with the 1010 contest. Yeah, it's this weekend, the 1010 contest. And with the high solar flux, 120, 130, 10 meters open, that's for sure. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you on board from Boston. Weather is sunny and better than last night when I drove to see 5 Quebecers in concert. Le Vent du Nord, great concert. Cool. And thanks, Rob, for reminding me to check the email. Absolutely. We're going to check the email immediately. I have a tendency to sometimes forget. What else do we have? We have Elizabeth from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, saying hello, and she's following along today, enjoying the show. And we have Richard Lemke from St. Albert that is watching, and nothing special to report. 1 Celsius with mixed precipitation. So nice to have you on board, Richard and Elizabeth. Always nice to have you here. And thank you so much, Rob, for reminding me to check email, which I always forget. Tarek, nice to have you here from Cairo, Egypt. Always cool to have everybody on board. It's fun to see. Toastenloaf, nice to have you here. Joe Tyson in Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Eric says, I'm always looking for ham content for the column. So if anybody wants to send ideas to Eric, you can, of course, send him your ideas of anything ham radio related. Same for my utility columns. I always look forward for anybody sending information. If anybody wants to send some logs or send, or suggestions of one aspect of utility stations that I can talk about, please do. When we do a column every month, we get to a point where sometimes it happens that we're like, yeah, what am I going to write next month? I kind of have no idea. So that's always fun to have some ideas. Zen Pharaohs, NHK 15130, maybe a new frequency since last season, new to me at least. So I'm going to check that out here on NHK. Wow, very active. The emergency action messages. I'm on 8992 upper sideband. A lot of activity. And here there's something on 8916. So I believe it's the aeronautical frequency here. So lots of activity today on the global command frequencies. Let's check out the schedules of I like to use the IBI space that's been updated, by the way, on January the 30th, so it's pretty accurate. So 15130, NHK Radio Japan. Am I hearing anything here? I don't know if it's still there anyways, but there's a station there, definitely. Yeah, sounds like Japanese. Maybe it's been there for a while, but we just didn't notice. So 15130, where's it broadcasting from? So we have 130, NHK Radio Japan. Oh, from the French France transmitter site, the Issoudun France transmitter site. 19 to 21 UT. It's a decent signal here. Decent signal here. 15130 for Radio Japan in Japanese from the French transmitter site. Indeed. Pretty cool. Wish they had some English there. That'd be fun. I do have my 2030 French one. I don't know how it's coming today. 9855. 55. That's from Madagascar. Yeah, it's there. Audio seems to be very low. It was 9855 is from Madagascar, and it's a French language service of NHK Radio Japan. So the signal's there. It's a pretty good signal. It's the audio seems to be very low. Joe Tyson, did I get a new camera? Nope. Same camera as for years now. The Logitech C920. Same camera. Sometimes it's the placement. It's when I place it differently, it might look different, and people might not notice I'm wearing my CKUT 90.3 FM T-shirt. Kimberly says sunspot numbers 87, solar flex 130. So K of 3, which is it's been up and down a lot in the last few days. We had some minor geomagnetic storms at times. Nick, nice to have you on board. Nick Avendot from Romania. Neil Rigby from the UK. Nice to have you here. David, no firewall tonight. No, I could put one though, but for now, it's I always put it later at night to keep me warm. Anthony Franz, nice to have you here from Port Richey, Florida. Kathleen, nice to have you here from Germany. DE1 CTL. Nice to have you here. Nice to have all of the people around. It's pretty cool. Chris 66 from Kentucky. Nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess says we'll be there. Dwayne, what else do we have? Kimberly says, oh yes, firewall. That adds to the mood. Light those logs. So here we go. Let's put it. You guys want it? We'll have it. Oh man. I need to just start this and put it in a good position though for that. I think was it from here? I'm just trying to remember how it was installed the other day. It's just gonna install it properly. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna start this, and we're gonna have that fireplace lit up, and not too long. I'm gonna wait for the. There we go. It's not gonna show much now, but once the so fireplace. There we go. That one. And living room. So should have a fireplace here in a few seconds. It's not going to show much, but as the sun sets, we're probably going to have a decent. There we go. The fireplace is the wall is on fire once again. Even though it's not going to show much for now, it is going to show at some point when we can see it a little bit. So here we go. So I'm doing everything for you guys. Everything. Here we go. Matt says worked out well last year for the Shortwave Festival. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Oh, for sure, Erica Trell. In person, meeting people in person is, of course, a lot of fun too. But better than nothing. Call Icon, nice to have you on board. Says New York checking in. Have you picked up any CB radio traffic from the Freedom Convoy? No, they're not in Montreal, so I haven't heard anything. But I'm sure that those trucks must be the CB bands must be full of signals over there. Handy new, nice to have you on board from UK M7CUN. Greg, I'm not happy with my Ethon Elite Executive with SSB. Does not work with fine tuning, and RDS does not go off. Yeah, fine tuning does work. You have to when you're. So this is the one that you're talking. So I have one here like this. So when you're in single sideband, to have the fine tune, you have to click on the tuning knob. So you have SSB, and if you click the tuning knob, it's going to tell you fine tune when you work. There you go, fine. It says fine on the display. You've got to click there for that. And the RDS, what do you say? The RDS does not go off. You have to choose properly, because when you put the RDS info, which is at the bottom here, you have to click on, I believe, the just above. So you put the RDS on, and just above it says RDS mode. When you click that, it changes what RDS stream it's checking out and how it's displaying the information. So hope that helps, because all of that is available and does work. So yours is the executive with SSB, but should have the same um, should normally should work the same. Most of the models actually that are from Ethon that have similar kind of features work pretty much in the same way. So you should be able to have it working, Greg. Rick from Milwaukee, nice to have you here. We have our friend David in Barcelona that says that he's pretty good. So nice to have you here. Kimberly, K6YYL. Oh, yes, the other important announcement. What you are drinking. It's coffee. Still here. Yeah, the vodka cranberry juice. Later in the afternoon here. So if the show would be at noon, because 3 p.m. is noon there in California, I probably would be with coffee, for sure. Keegan's getting Texas tea brand poteed strawberry white tea. N6RLS, nice to have you here from Berkeley, California. Audiophile tubes. Love my original ICOM IC756 transceiver. Used mostly for shortwave and AM broadcast DXing. Great receiver and audio quality. So, yeah, a lot of hams use their ham rigs for radio, for shortwave listening. Pete, nice to have you on board. N1VAK from Greenville, North Carolina. Alpha, Beta. What else do we have? Let's check the batteries. What else do we have? DXer. No, it doesn't use 9-volt batteries. It uses 3 C-size batteries, 2 or 3 C-size batteries that are inside, and they are brand new. Because I always change them before the the cold weather comes. So I don't think the batteries are in the problem. Something might have happened. We had a lot of wind. I wonder if there's maybe it's been out there for what, 3 years now at least. It's third winter at least, and it's been very windy with in the past couple of weeks. I'm wondering if something hasn't happened and maybe some water could have got inside. So, anyways, I'm going to check that out a little later. Audiophile tubes, Solar Cycle 25 is on the upswing. Great time to get back into shortwave listening for those that put the hobby aside. Well, I can say one thing: you should never put the hobby aside for a solar cycle, because there's always something. And I'll say it again and again. Anybody that says, "Well, it's the bottom of the solar cycle, I'm not going to be in the hobby," you're missing out, and you don't understand propagation, because it is very good even in the bottom part. You just have to choose your frequencies properly. Um, you know, Timothy, good afternoon. 45 unit. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you here. Says cool 64 Fahrenheit in Florida. Next weekend is the opening of the ham radio outlet Winter Springs, Florida, near Orlando. Cool. I think someone's going to go to a radio store. Michael, nice to have you on board from Cincinnati, Ohio. Saw several TV programs that featured shortwave radios, the Waltons, Dennis the Menace, and the Jeffersons. So, yeah, it's something that you have, something that we've been having. Um, only when you're in radio, amateur radio, or start seriously in radio, do you start noticing radios in TV shows. And talking of radio, it's sad to that we've lost Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP. Harold Hessman that died this week. Very, very interesting. If you guys, those that never saw WKRP, go and check it out. Almost all episodes are on YouTube, actually. And if you want to reminisce and go back in time a little, the shows are still good to watch. WKRP in Cincinnati. Biggie Dalmich says Sheldon and I Zoomed today, and he was breaking up. He has to get that fixed before Winterfest. Yeah, he does have breakups from time to time. Yesterday and last week, we were missing those little parts of his in syllables, but I have an impression that it could have been me more than anything else, because in general, our streams are pretty good. We had a few times when it was breaking up, but in general, it's not too bad when we are. Because when we record the show, the International Radio Report, we talk about all sorts of things. So we spend at least 2 to 3 hours sometimes on the stream, just talking on the meeting. So hopefully things are going to be okay for the Winterfest for sure. Audiophile tubes. Does anyone know where I can get a complete and current list of shortwave pirate stations? Well, that's not the way it works in general. Okay, because pirate stations are off and on, and there are some that are active, others that are not. And because of the nature of pirate radio, you don't want to be, you don't want to give out too much information. But the best place you can go, and this is the place for pirates, HF Underground, hfunderground.com. This is where you will see all the pirates that are active at a certain time. And you just click pirate radio. The first one is for North America. The other one, there's European pirates and so on. There you'll see all the activity of what's happening. You'll see the list of all the pirates that were logged in the last week. So hfunderground.com is the place to get your information. Pirates are not like in regular broadcasts. Bill, nice to have you on board. N8KZA, Roberto. Danny DO4WGO. Nice to have you on board, Dan. Been forever since I've had time to watch the live stream. Finally got your ticket, KO4WGO. Pretty cool. I'm also, since you haven't been here for a while, I'm also there. I'm Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Got my ham ticket in early December. So just waiting for my end-fed antenna to get that's going to be used as soon as I get it. It's on its way, so it's going to be fun to test out that antenna and try to make contacts on 40 and 20 meters. So yep, Archer's Ali Croucher's Kitchen. I got an end-fed. Actually, it's the guy is sending me an antenna that he used a lot that works great. It's a end-fed wire antenna with a 9-to-1 balun and a coaxial cable. Everything's in it. He says you'll need nothing except just sending it up, hanging it somewhere. He's made contacts across the U.S. and Europe, in Africa with it, and he says, and he's got a FT450D. So he says same setup pretty much that you'll have. And he says, just hang that thing up and you're going to have some great times on the ham bands. I haven't received it yet. So I think the last that I've seen, it was stuck at the customs. So hopefully they're going to clear the customs real fast and get here. So, yeah, Greg, watch the stream. I actually told you and showed you what you have to do to check it out. And the RDS can turn off. You just have to press the RDS button on the bottom. You can turn it off if you want. Tosin Love hearing in 992 in the Netherlands with lots of echoes. Yeah, there's a lot of echoes on some of the transmissions. Shows that it's coming from different areas at the same time. Voislav, nice to have you here from Serbia. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. David says, now I see the pirate flag. Yeah, pirate flag is kind of hidden. I'll have to set up a little differently so that it shows up. But even with the sign here, the on the air sign, I need to position that better. It has to be visible. Maybe I could put it like just below the lamp here. That spot would be very nice to see. And what else do we have? Catalin, will you do some FTA transmissions during the show? Then we can all stretch our antennas for it. Yeah, that could be something to check out. So I'm gonna check it out for sure. Once I'm properly set up, I think it's gonna be nice. So firewall mode, yep, firewall mode. So what else do we have? Glenn, nice to have you here from Tennessee. And Bobby says, now that's what you call a firewall. Absolutely. Nice to have all of you here. Jim, nice to have you here from Ireland, EI3HCB. David, NHK 15130, peaking around S8 in Barcelona on his ICOM ICR 8500. Audiophile Tube says, anyone ever use gap multiband vertical antennas? Kimberly, 11 meters is, of course, open right now. It is very active all over the place. It would be interesting to hear what you are hearing there. So, yeah, I'm going to actually go and let me check out the 10-meter band, actually. 28.4. So, some stuff here. We have, yeah, there's some activity. Not a lot, but there's some activity. Let me check it out here on. So there's some stuff here. Most of the signals are rather weak, though. We're kind of in a. Check something here. What's that? Okay. Hearing a beacon, 282784. So there's a beacon there. Some hams on 28th. 374. $28 $374.8. Hearing something that sounds Spanish. I see a little bit of traces. There's not a lot now. It was earlier was a lot more than that. It seems like the 10-meter band is kind of dying down a little bit here on the east. But there's some stuff for sure on the 10 and the meters. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. Jeff King went down to a Radio Shack store in on Orlando, Florida. Just bought a Ethon Mini and a Supersonic SC1080BT. Pretty cool. Cool. CIDX, Toastin Love says only hearing a couple FM stations on the CB band in the Netherlands. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board from Greenfield Park. Missed the Zoom meeting that you had because I had too much things to do, so I couldn't join the Zoom for the website. Barely had time to do what I had to do before I started the stream here. VA3 JPX, nice to have you here, James from Ottawa. So I showed you what to do, Greg. I showed you what to do. Scott Cranston says hello from ice-encrusted Massachusetts. Hope things are not too bad. John Beckham, enjoyed your video reviews on the Ethon Grundig versus XH Data D808. Who do you think won the reception battle? You know what? They are very, very similar. Honestly, both were probably... I did only one video. I'm going to make more because they're still here on the desk. I just ran out of time to make videos. But they're kind of very close, honestly, on a shortwave performance. Pretty close in general. When you choose the same filter, the bandwidth filter. Tom DXer, WPE2QED, nice to have you on board from the Hudson Valley, New York. Was not able to be here for last month. It's good to be back, and it's good to have you back, my friend. Quick Start Ham Radio says planetary status report notes is about to change shortwave radio. Okay. Jeff Kingston Ham Radio Outlet store in Orlando is already open. Great store, great people. Gary 24 fan, WKRP was great. My favorite episode was when Johnny had a police officer on the show talking about drinking and driving, and Johnny's reaction time got faster the more he drank. Keegan says, my dad, W9JEF, remembers when he worked at WISC TV3 in Madison, Wisconsin. When WKRP came on, all non-essential work came to a halt. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. I saw your video about when you went to the park with your radio. So, yeah, rest in peace, Howard Hessenman. I watched WKRP. I was about 12 years old-ish when I was watching the episode. Around 10 to 12 years old. I was very young. I remember I maybe watched some reruns through my teenage years. I was telling Sheldon, actually, that I had not watched WKRP probably for the last 40 years or 35 years, maybe. So going to YouTube to watch the episode is going to be a great, bring back a lot of memories, I'm sure. Ken Lansing, does a good ground make a bigger difference than new equipment? Actually, depends on the equipment you're using. Portable receivers, usually grounding is of no use. They're not designed for that. On desktop receivers or transceivers, grounding, especially on transceivers, but even on receivers, grounding can help. but do not expect a ground to necessarily make much of a difference. It depends on how it's set up, and a real ground is difficult to really achieve, especially if you have too long of wire between your radio and the ground. So what else do we have? Garrick 24 fans. This says also the turkey drop episode as God as my witness. I thought turkeys could fly. That did not go well. Kevin, nice to have you here. Did you catch the SpaceX launch from California on YouTube yesterday? The views of launch and landing from Falcon 9 was truly inspiring. No, I didn't. I wanted to, and for some reason, I kind of forgot or I was caught up with stuff. So I didn't. But I like when there's a launch, I like to watch. It's always fun. What else do we have? Archer's Auto Crafters Kitchen Jillian antenna sounds perfect for what you'll be using it for. So it's 40. It's 40 to 6 meters, and apparently works great. So can't wait to get it and set it up. It's not meant to be permanently outside because the box, the balun and all of that are not I was thinking of shielded, but it's not shielded, sealed. So it's meant to be kind of a temporary setup. But I thought it was cool because I can easily set up temporarily here. I can even leave just the wire outside and just plug it in easily when I need to use it. But also I thought it was cool because it gave me an idea of, if I can get myself a little portable setup, I could go to a park or go to Perry Island or whatever, set up the in-fed wire antenna, and enjoy lower noise and make contacts. I think that's going to be cool. We have Quick Start Ham Radio trolling another channel to promote your crap. Why don't you go somewhere else? I don't do that. This is the worst place. And you know what? I'll tell everybody not to go to your channel. You could just do it in a much better way that, be a good citizen. So I'm so tired. Oops. I put I took the wrong person, I think. Okay, here it goes. Here we go. Okay. I'm so fucking tired of that. Sorry about the wording, but I'm tired of people that troll other channels just to promote stuff. What do we have? Chris Powell, nice to have you here from Minneapolis, AE0IY. What else do we have? I think I missed a little bit here. Where was I? I was a little higher. So, okay, Harold Anderson, nice to have you on board. We have here we go. Okay, so nice to have you here from Oslo, Norway. JD Dakota said the echoes are a good sign. That means the atmosphere is becoming much more reflective. Dwight, nice to have you on board from Coastal Virginia, WA4532SWL. Caltech says actually turkeys can fly and roost every night in trees. Gene, nice to have you here, and 5WFZ. Nice to have you here. Caltech is from Northeast Wisconsin. Mad Max says the Super Bowl channel is pretty active. What else do we have? But I bet you that Greg, your radio's fine. You just don't know how to use it properly. Look at the manuals correctly. Remember, this you press, you got fine tuning that appears on single sideband. And by the way, fine tuning is for single sideband. There's no fine tuning on AM mode. On AM mode, you'll switch between fast and slow tuning. Fine tuning is single sideband only. That is something that a lot of people kind of not understand very often. And RDS does turn on and off. You just have to press the RDS button. That's at the bottom right on the keypad. And I'm not going to repeat it again, Greg. So please listen. If you're asking a question, you got to listen. Ricardo, nice to have you on board. James Carroll was in the hobby 35 years ago. I have an R71A and R7000. How much better today's rig? And which ICOM receiver should I buy? You got great radios. You don't need a new rig. Honestly, you're not going to get better. You have more bells and whistles in different ways today. But honestly, you do not need a new radio. You've got everything you need. Everything you need. Anton RC3C, nice to have you on board from Moscow. Pretty cool to have you on board. What else do we have? So I missed something here. So Tom DXer says my wife passed away in November from complications of Parkinson's disease. We were together 42 years, and she was a sweet, lovely lady. Last few months have been extremely rough. Take care, Tom, and enjoy the hobby. Try to enjoy. I totally get it that it's tough to get back into doing things. When something like that happens, it kind of throws us off. And what we love, we often don't spend time with that because we just don't feel like it. But take care, and it's rough time, but as time goes by, it's going to be less painful. You're never going to forget it, but it's going to be less painful over time. But try to do something you like radio, for sure, and take care of yourself. And you got some great people here that like you, and stay safe, and join in as much as you want into the live streams. Random hobbyist question. If I can get it. If you have to pick one radio between your best portable tabletop receiver or an RSP-1A, which one would you take? I'd take the RSP-1A probably for the fact that I'm now hooked to SDRs. They're so flexible, and with the waterfall is so much fun that if I had only one choice between all of that, RSP-1A. René Charbonnier, nice to have you here from Radio Classic Sunday. Mad Radio DXer says, Jill, thanks for watching video. I think the inspiration came when you did a video when you went to your local park. I think it was called Perry Island. Yeah, there's Perry Island, and I went there quite often. But on my local park here, which is just 5 minutes in walking distance, which is Parc Beaubien, is really a neat place. Also, I kind of, I kind of had the feel of my own walk in the park videos. Man, I've got cat hair or something. It gave me the feel of when I do my my walk in the park videos. I had the same feel to it, so it was nice to check out, and it's always fun. VA3 JPX. Here, there's no attic. So if I would put an antenna, it would have to be on the ceiling or some sort. Actually, the length it could technically be in the house somehow and on the ceiling. And this is a wooden house, so would not be too much. But the noise inside is just so high that I wouldn't be great. Ricardo, just today, I'm in the extreme southwest of Portugal, away in a rural area. Noticed new activity on long wave. After long years of almost no broadcast, I was surprised by two Moroccan stations. Perry Island is more of where I go to for my little urban expedition side. There's a park near here. The ones that I do near here, I often call the videos "Walk in the Park," which is a park that's just not very far from here. Preston, haven't been here in a while. Really enjoying my Elite Ethon AM FM shortwave Bluetooth radio, listening to CHU now. Cool. And says he's been listening to EWTN, Cuba, WRMI, WWCR, WTWW, Chinese, and some BBC. Depends on the weather and time of day. Yeah, it's more of the space weather and time of day. Weather itself has almost no effects on shortwave. Glenn Zeckman, WWV on 25 megahertz. Let's check that out. 25,000. Yeah, it's pretty good too. Look at that. There's a little fade out, but and there's a strong ham on the 12 meter band on, what's that, 24. There's quite a few hams actually on the 12 meter band. So WWV's there. And I see at least 4 or 5 traces of hams on 24, between 24 940 and 24 990. So quite active actually for the 12 meter band. And WWV 25 megahertz is making it indeed. Nicholas, nice to have you on board from Northwest Indiana, K9XN. Chris has lots of PSK and CW signals on 20 meters. And you're welcome, Tom DXer. Take care of yourself. Preston can't wait to take the radio outside when warmer weather arrives. You're going to have a lot of fun. DJW883 WWV 25,000 loud and clear in southeast Pennsylvania. Harold Anderson, what do you think of the Baofeng radios from China? I think they're good. 2 meter, 70 centimeter radio for only 30 euros shipped to your home. Yeah, they are. You know, I got one here. Look at that. Here. It's here somewhere. There we go. Got one here. They're decent. I mean, you know, they're cheap radios, but they for what they are and the price they are sold for, they're decent radios. You know, I see a lot of people complaining about them. You know, oh well, you know, those cheap Baofangs, and it's like they're okay. You know, honestly, they are okay. Nothing for the price. You got to put. You know, every time I do a review or I talk about a radio, it's always, you know, put it with the price. Now that said, in many places they're not really approved. So it could be in many cases illegal even for amateur radio to use them. Of course, if you just don't say it, nobody knows, and you'll talk on 2 meters and whatever, it's going to work fine. But just be aware that using them for amateur radio could be legal where you are. But they're decent. What probably amazes me more, and this is where I'm scared of these being so easy to get. They can transmit everywhere. An amateur radio, like my Yisu FT65. It's an amateur radio transceiver, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, but you can transmit only in those bands and only receive everywhere else. I am surprised, and it's the lack of verification. I am surprised that these are so easy to get. And I don't like it because I have the impression that this is very bad news. Anybody could just get one or get a pair, and most people that know nothing just gonna just punch in a frequency and let's talk. And I think that could be very risky over time. And also the fact that they're so easy to get and it's pretty much anonymous. I'm afraid what people, bad intended people that might want to do bad stuff over the airwaves could do with those. And that is what scares me of these little radios. I got one for the purpose of just playing around, and when somebody talks about the Baofangs, at least I know what they're talking about because I got one. It's okay for the price. It's not a big gun gear, but it's okay for the price. And if you do use it for amateur radio, it's best maybe not to say it, because I don't think it's. I think if they're not approved, that they're not legal technically on a ham bands, and they can be used for all their stuff. I've used this one for FRS. I punched in one of the FRS channels and use it for the FRS. So that works great. In the GMRS. No, not Perry Island in Alaska. Perry Island in Montreal. There's a little place called Perry Island, northwest part of Montreal, Catalan. Wayne Hall on the Anthron 99 antenna is the radial kit to aid in reception only or transmitting only or both. Can anybody answer that question? As Wayne is asking that question. V83JPX, WWV 25,000 is S7 in Ottawa. 24915. Yeah, there's a lot of FD8. I see it there. There's one ham talking on. It's very strong ham here on. 24970. Let's test that out with a little portable here. Let's use the there we go. Let's use the Grundig Executive. So there we go. I'm going to put myself on 24970. 24970. And we'll see if we get it when he transmits. We're going to try it. I'm using the ML830 outdoor antenna with it. So very nice looking radio. So here you can see that I am fine tuning with the radio. It does have fine tune. You just have to click on the tuning knob Wait if he's coming back at some point. Mike Jan, nice to have you here. Here we go. He's back. Man, I have to tune. There we go.
You got a good antenna. You get all high streams. They work great. On them all the time, and they do. It's probably a good thing. They take the icing better.
Not too bad.
Was aluminum up there, freezing and breaking off. So anyhow, it does work good. You're doing good today.
24,970. So cool reception here on these radios. Works great. Plugging in the external antenna. So Mike John, nice to have you here from Lakes Region, New Hampshire. Tim Mitchell, recall he once mentioned that a person can obtain a shortwave listener call sign. Where would one obtain this? Great show. You have to go to the let me just remember the SWARL shortwave. Does anybody have certificate? The link to the shortwave certificate. Yeah, here we go. It's the SWARL.org. So you go here, SWARL.org. It's totally free. You just have to fill in the info for the call sign. On the bottom, you'll see get shortwave SWL call sign now. Enter the information. It's going to take a few weeks, and you'll get your certificate by email. If you don't see it, from time to time, you can go to the database and check out, and you'll see that it's going to be there. Sometimes the certificate goes into the spam. So go there and just answer fill up the form, and you'll get your free. And it's cool, you have your own little listening call sign. You can use it for QSL purposes. VA3JPX, AliExpress has a Baofeng UV82s for 16 Canadian. Can't go wrong with that price. Got two of them. Dwight, WWV25000 is also loud and clear in coastal Virginia. That's a first for me. Cool. Always fun to have a first. Dr. Sisop, nice to have you here. So, yeah, that's what I did. I use them on GMRS and FRS. Christopher, nice to have you on board. And have you heard Value Wave Radio on 6266? Plays a lot of alternative music on the weekends. Euro Pirates in general are always a little rough to receive here in Montreal, but from time to time, we get some. I would need to try to listen and see if I can hear it. Harold says I'm using them for only ham frequencies, and they are good legal in Norway. Okay, just be careful because some countries they are illegal to use on the ham bands. It depends on the regulations of each country. But I know that they are illegal on some in some countries on the ham bands. Keegan reception this afternoon with his Ethon Grande edition Field BT and Ethon Grande edition satellite with SSB. Matt MDK2. I remember getting WWV 25 megahertz quite well on my Texan PL 600 when I went to Florida in 2017. Dr. Sisop's flash rejection on them are lousy. If a strong station near you, you will hear it. Yeah, usually, they cut off corners when they sell these things at such a low price. Matt says I live too far. I live far too close to get it in a regular skywave propagation, but sometimes tropoducting or sporadic E makes it copyable in Denver. Dr. Sisop, WWV 25 megahertz, S4 in Caymans. So cool. Falstrad, nice to have you here. 7115, Réseau Radioactif, Saturday and Sunday, Quebec French net. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of nets that are from Quebec on the 40-meter band. There's also 80-meter band, the 3780 is the one that's always there every night. And there's quite a lot. One that I haven't listened to for a long time, there was a net that was a French language net where it was people in the Caribbean on their boats talking back and forth with their with people both here in Quebec and in France. It was kind of fun to listen to. Chris Powell, the Baofeng manufacturing locks them down 2 meters 70 centimeter to meet regulations for export to other countries, but people can unlock them to receive and transmit out of these bands. Yeah, but here, this one was unlocked from the purchase, so it's kind of crazy. If they are locked down, though, they are legal to use. What else do we have? What else do we have? Okay, let's go down here. Trying to find my place where I was. And I made everything bigger suddenly. Here we go. Christopher says Value Waves playing a lot of Radio Prague International interval tunes. Huh. Kimberly can almost feel the warmth of the fire. Timothy got the ham on 24970 in Arkansas. LG. Audio mixer. I do have an audio mixer and I do it regularly, but right now it's I'd have to put the output of the radio and everything on it, which is not the case for now. But I have all of that, LG. I regularly do stuff and mix in the audio with what I do. Dimitri, how is DXing today? Looks good, actually. MDK2 had CHU 14670 good, 7850 fair just before the start of the show. Artist out of Crafter's Kitchen, 24970 coming in. Great in Massachusetts on the Grounding Satellite 800 and the MLA 30. VE3JPX 27025, Super Bowl channel. What else do we have? Carl Icon 13630, China Radio International. That is from the Mali transmitter site in Africa. So it's pretty cool. Chris Bell only getting WWV in Minneapolis on 10 megahertz and 15 megahertz stronger on 15. So in a few minutes, we're going to try something because 7400 is supposed to come on with Radio Andorra special broadcasts from Armenia transmitter sites. So I'm going to park myself on 7400 and it's supposed to be from 2130 to 2330. I'm just curious to see if we're going to have a signal here. Hunter's out of Cratcher's Kitchen. My brother keeps a Baofeng in the glove box of his car. He's a listener, but he likes that it can be used to transmit in case of an emergency, but he loves listening to it. Dr. Sisop, many here use CB on the boats here on the free band part below, channel 1, 26325, 26935, mostly on AM and some FM also. Lots of skip above channel 40 from South America. N6 RLS FT8, very strong on 28074. Comanche 76, nothing on 25,000, but getting 20,000 grade in West Michigan. V3 JPX parked on 7,400. So it's a French language transmission, and it's a special Radio Andorra broadcast that's happening today. This is, I think, the last broadcast for today, 7400. It is not directed towards us, but I suspect that we possibly could receive Radio Andorra on 7400, hopefully. And so that's going to be, well, I'll do with the console. I'll set up a cable that I can easily, actually, I did it often. What I like to do is with Texan H501, since it has an audio, a line out jack, I can actually easily plug it into the console. What I should probably do is keep the H501 here all the time so that I can put that audio in the console when I'm tuning in, so we can have some of the stuff. So I'll check that for the next show. VA3 JPX listening on a 160 meter beverage antenna. Mark, nice to have you on board from Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Nick Sharp says previous relays from the Armenian site generally start up just a few seconds before the program appears. Yeah, and today they often do that pretty much with everything. It costs so much money to broadcast. You know, there used to be a time when stations, what they would do, they would, you know, if they would broadcast on one frequency, they would, you know, immediately go from you know, the whatever language, then they would go to interval signal and then the next language. Today, if that is more than, like, you know, 3 or 4 minutes, often what they'll do is they'll shut down the transmitter for, you know, 5 minutes and just start the interval signal like real close to the hour. I guess it's one of the ways that they can save money. So carriers on, I could see a little peak. It's very weak here, but I could see that the carrier just got on 7400. So that definitely is something that I see here. You guys in Europe should hear that one much better than here. Current IC guy says there were long wire hanging pretty low from the ice storm. Yeah, these are crazy. Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Tilson Love says carrier came up on 7400. Dr. Sisab, they sell them Beofeng's UV5R radios here locally at cost you less, like a Costco's, $25 US. You have to unlock the FRS GMRS band on it, as it was easy here. They not allowed them bands. Roger Gibbs, nice to have you here from the UK. VA3 JPX has S7 there. Here I have it at probably that level, S7 or S8. The problem is that's the noise floor for me. So it kind of makes it almost impossible to make out. I'm curious when the audio starts. But the problem is really that my noise floor is the same as the 7. So let's just get out of SSB here. When you haven't used a radio in a long time. There we go. 0. It's barely there. The signal is barely above my noise floor. That's the cool thing about it when you got a low noise floor. So, you know. else do we have? Philip says PL330 versus PL310. What's the differences between these two? The PL330 is a way better radio. It has single sideband. It has precision tuning. It's light years ahead of the PL310. So if you're to choose one, choose a PL330. You'll have single sideband capability. Nick Sharp, previous relays from the Armenian side generally start up. Okay, that I've read. Kevin, one of my biggest rants in amateur radio is the disregard of VHF and UHF contacts. Many clubs have a expense for their repeaters and towers, and most hams, if any, only tune in for a nightly net. Yeah. Honestly, if I would be, I'm not a big user, so I'm not much interested. But if I'd be a user of like one of the repeaters and be using it all the time, I'd make sure to be a member and pay my dues for that club that maintains it, so that you know, because obviously it's something that has to be maintained and it's not free. I think in the hobby per se, a lot of the problems in the hobby is the general thinking that everything is free or needs to be free, and there's no thinking of, well, there's a cost to what they do. It's not free to set up a repeater, it's not free to operate it, and it's not free to maintain it. But a lot of people are in the, oh, well, I'm going to use that repeater all the time and I just don't care. It's the day when that repeater goes away because, guys tired of, paying the maintenance and like, nobody wants to cover or help out. And someday repeater goes away and they're like, oh, I love that repeater. Yeah, you love that repeater when you have it for free and you don't even want to give a penny for it. I got to say that's a lot of the hobbies like that, unfortunately. Does VOA have shortwave bands? Absolutely. Voice of America is on multiple frequencies during the day and night. Kevin says ICOM and Thirsty has some lovely tech in a small package. People don't utilize their capacity. I continually call CQ to mostly dead silence. Yeah. Most people just like, a 2-meter band resumes itself as a handful of people that are kind of more techy and useful in the ham bands. But I'm a big majority of, I go on the net to say hi to everybody every night, and that's pretty much it. I did it a couple of times personally, and it was, for me, a net is kind of boring, but I did it a couple of times for the purpose of simply checking out if my signal was making it well into the repeater and that I could actually have a little contact. But you won't see me going on the nets every night. It's like, hello, I'm Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Hello, everybody. And it's been a nice day today. And I'm eating donuts and that's it, I mean, it's fine for the people that do that and that like that. But honestly, a lot of hams are just at that basic level and never do anything else. That's the way it is sometimes. John Beckham getting a relatively good signal from WWV on 25,000 kilohertz. So nice to have you here. So 7400 modulation just started. Here it's really in the noise. I see the signal, but it's barely above that noise floor, unfortunately. So Nick Sharp, University of 20 is great for 7400. Yep, absolutely. That must be pretty good. Current IT guy, WWV 25,000 Audible in Pennsylvania as well. MDK2, most clubs will take donations, and many hams do chip in for repeater maintenance when they're not a member of the club. So, yeah, that's also a way to do it, absolutely. Al, nice to have you on board from a cold and icy Westport, Massachusetts. Christopher, I can hear Valley Wave 6266 on the Key West DR in Italy. Black Panzer, if you had $100 to spend on a shortwave radio with SSB, what would you buy? $100? A Texan PL330. That would be probably my choice for $100. You've got a great radio, a small package, and it'd be great. Brad also saying PL330. Toast and love. We have tornado watches here on 2 meter during severe weather. Chris Powell listening on an 86 foot each leg dipole fed with a 9-1 balance, 675 ohm coaxial, 25 feet on the ground. Low noise, works great. He says he's not a member of any of his local 2 meter club, but he gives them financial support. That's cool. That's cool. Dr. Sisup has 25 megahertz WWV on his President Lincoln 2 Plus radio. Keegan is monitoring the low end of the FM band in case of E-skip. Tim Mitchell, anyone know history of shortwave operations during World War II where stations in Europe able to stay on the air? Asia, any good readings on the topic? I've never researched much the shortwave radio, the state of shortwave radio in the World War II, and it is pretty interesting. I'm sure there's probably been a lot of stuff happening back then. I mean, shortwave broadcast had started at that time, so the bands must have had a lot of stuff happening. I can just imagine all of the spy transmissions we could have heard. You know, all the spy transmissions that could be on the air and Morse code and all the things must have been great. There must have been a hell of a lot of communications to listen to, especially in Europe. In World War II, the transmissions probably I would really like, there must be some book or something on the subject of World War II and radio. Pretty sure that a lot of the transmissions that were from different countries that got invaded, probably either they tore down or and I think that would be the best, as they would probably use those transmitters to send their own rhetoric and their own story to everybody around the world. But I'm sure it must have been an interesting time. It'd be nice, go back in time and monitor those years of radio broadcasting. And since a lot of the stations are, I've been on for, there's a lot of stations that are celebrating 80 years on shortwave and stuff like that. So that means that, they were on at that time. And I don't know. I'd have to check. There must be some books or something somewhere, I'm sure. John Beckham. Yeah, I do have the XH data, the 808 here. I got him all there. Here it is. Here it is. Yeah, for RDS capability. My first choice for the Texan PL330 at 100 comes more from the fact that I can live without it. I can live without RDS, and I prefer the precision tuning that the 330 has for radio listening. VA3 JPX, what are your thoughts on the NULEC NESDR Smart HF bundle? It comes with the Hammett up converter. I don't have a very good, even though I've never used it, anything that uses a up converter to add for listening to shortwave and all sorts of things like that usually are rather crappy in performance. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not the best that you can use. I'd go directly, and you know often when you have the Amit up converter and all of that, it costs the same price as getting an SDR Play RSP1A, which is directly works great and already nothing complicated to set up and just works out of the box. And you have from long wave to short wave to all the VHF UHF. I'm not a big fan of anything that has up converters in order to be able to listen to um, the radio. Kevin, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. Texan 330. I have to say the fact that it doesn't have a little kickstand is kind of I missed a kickstand on it for sure. And yeah, RDS. I think Texan they're using the same displays all the time, but it'd be nice if Texan could upgrade their radios and have RDS on it. For people that like that, it's definitely something that should be there. But I guess they're trying to keep the cost down, and they use the same thing all the time. Yep, amateur radio was suspended in many countries during World War II. And in times of war, amateur radio is often suspended. So, Lacrosse, nice to have you on board. There's probably an archive of radio operators, most likely. Dimitri, I checked all my shortwave radios. It still works just fine. Even one with was a broken antenna, which I already did fixing. Current IT guy, the Internet Archive has a collector of recordings of broadcasts from World War II, collection of recordings. Carl Icahn Soldiers makes Foxhole radios during World War II, but I think it was medium wave. Because there was shortwave broadcasts. I know that there were. But what was the state of all of that and how many stations were on? And radio was the way that you get a lot of info back then. So I guess, there must have been quite a few things to listen to. Nick Sharp, Lord Haas was a nickname applied to William Joyce, who broadcast Nazi propaganda to the UK from Germany during the Second World War. Nick Sharp, the broadcasts opened with Germany calling, spoken in affected upper class English accent, says Wikipedia. Huh. Dave Belisle, nice to have you on board, WA1UJA. Keegan, RDS is helpful for me when an FM station fades in and out. Yeah, for DXing FM, I got to say RDS is a very, very helpful feature. JDA Dakota, I like both my PL330 and XH data. They seem to complement each other. One has more bandwidth on it. The other's ETM Plus is very unique and useful feature. Indeed. Tom DXer, go here and scroll to the bottom of the page for articles about shortwave in World War II. Okay, I'm going to check that out. And one of the things I didn't think of, but the World Radio History page that has all these online books and publications that you can download, they have radio books from up to the 30s or the 20s. There must be radio books in there from the World Wars. So even though I know a lot of publications and things were not done back then because the efforts were put into the war, and so a lot of things stopped, there must be some radio books from World War II in there. I'm gonna check that out. I like history, and to see maybe World War II radio history would be nice. And you know what? I could do a little research here, and in the next few weeks, maybe we could do a special show talking about what I've learned about radio during World War II and so on. World War I radio was extremely, extremely new, so I don't think there was a lot going on there. But in World War II, radio definitely must have played a role. Keegan locked 89.7 WGBH Boston via RDS on his first DX catch from Massachusetts here in Northwest Arkansas in June of 2021. Faded away a minute later. So just enough to get the RDS info. That's cool. Tim Mitchell, good book is Joe Rochefort War, Navy Commander of Station Hippo at Pearl Harbor Naval Intelligence. Huh. Okay. And 6RLS, there were a few books about World War II shortwave radio on World Radio History website. I'm going to check that out. And maybe we could do a special on that, have go back in time in history. One that I was thinking also of doing a little special here is radio in times of the Cold War. For those that never experienced it, I think a lot of you and a lot of us would enjoy probably a little presentation of World War events, and I can maybe even use the projector here to have slides and position the camera better and have slides with pictures and stuff of what I want to talk about. So I think these are things that would be very, very interesting for me for a dedicated live stream at some point. So this would be probably nice. Chris Powell, nothing on 7400 in Minneapolis. Like I said here, I see it, but it's just pretty much in my noise floor. If I was at the park, I would be able to listen to it. At the park, the noise would be lower, and I would really be able to listen to it. But with the noise floor I've got here, forget it. It's way too difficult. RGA Dakota, RDS would be more useful if I listened to FM. It used to work on my HD medium wave band, but there's only one station left in medium wave and HD. Yeah, that's the sad part of it. With HD radio, you could have the call signs very often. And, same here. I'm not a big FM listener, so I don't miss RDS because I'm not an FM radio listener. Bobby Burgess, no problem. RGA Dakota, probably the most accurate World War II movie ever was Tora. Didn't hear much about World War II shortwave radio in general. It's probably more like Gloria. Yeah. And 6RLS, so many shortwave listening sections in radio mags from the 1920 to 40 periods. Yep. I have to check that out. Carl Icon, Hotel California, barely coming in. Kiwi, Ottawa, 7400. Dwight, Cold War shortwave listening was so cool back then. It sure brought us to a very unique moment, very unique shortwave moment. Radio and the Cold War put us in the middle of all of it. Anybody listening to shortwave in the Cold War era, we were at the forefront. We were listening to all of that happening. We could hear everybody's viewpoints. We were definitely in the Cold War with our radio listening. It was great. There's bad things about the Cold War and all of that, but for radio listening, it was an extremely cool experience. Extremely cool experience. Tostenloff, I didn't know eSkip was a possibility on the FM band. I'll listen for that. I use it to listen for meteor pings during showers. Yes, eSkip, when Sporadic E happens and is intense enough, it could go up to the FM range in propagating. Mostly on the bottom part. Most of it will be done in the 88, 89, 90, 91 megahertz. But, there's also a tropoducting that can act in favor of FM signals and bring them from far away. So there's all sorts of things. But, yep, definitely. When eSkip, if you hear eSkip and you hear that 6 meters is open on 50 megahertz, go and check out the lower part of the FM band on the empty channels. You'll be very, very surprised. Mad Radio DXer, What I read about World War II was that BBC television transmitters in London were used for radio transmissions when the TV service was suspended throughout the entire war. Charlie McKee, WWV 25,000 coming in and out, sometimes barely readable, but mostly of a signal of 3 west of Quebec City. Yeah, here the best part for 25 megahertz, the best moment is, I'd say, between about noon and 3 p.m. That's kind of the, if you have to hear it, that's the time when it's at its peak, at the strongest here. But so you hear it still there, quite good. About I get it at S9 plus 20 right now, so it's pretty good. But it fades out. This here at the time we are now, almost 5 p.m. local. It's the time when it's getting close to fading out. Sun is setting over there. It's like I could see it just barely above the house on the other side of the street right now. So we're in the sunset now. Arthur's Autocrafters Kitchen. Cold War listening was great so long as you understood that both sides were saber rattling. But Radio Moscow modulation with the hum in the background is hard to forget. Yeah. And you still hear it when they use some of the old transmitters from the Soviet era. There's a few places that still have them. And you hear the same in the background. It's like, yep. Bob Bartola, receiving 7400s S7 with modulation music here in Southeast Pennsylvania. Live in the woods with a low noise using the IC 7300 and the R398 tube radio. Great show. And 3 SWL. Cool. Yeah, low noise. Yeah, that's the key. Like I said here, it's just above the noise floor. If I'd be in the park, I would probably be able to listen to it. RTA Dakota would have loved to have taken something like my PL330 back to the 50s just to listen to all those stations across all the bands. Yep, definitely. And imagine that PL330 would be a better radio than pretty much everything you had lying around back then, which is crazy when you think about it. VA3JPX used to listen to Shom 97.7 in Ottawa when the conditions were good. So I've been listening to Shom in a long time here. Beaky Delmage, I was listening to an old Swiss shortwave merry-go-round show yesterday, and the two Bobs were talking about the increase in shortwave radio cells during the Gulf War. I recall in the Gulf War a story about that. I remember because I was curious, trying to pick up, when all of that happened, trying to pick up Radio Kuwait. Apparently, people that were listening in at the time of the invasion, Radio Kuwait had some like minute by minute account of what was happening, and they were actually calling for help on the station before it got shut down by the Iraqi invasion. Ken Lansing, was it only in Poland that Communist Party members were encouraged to get into ham radio? You know what? In the Cold War, pretty much every country had in the Eastern Bloc countries and the Soviet, the USSR, they had ham radio operators. I'm not sure as to up to what point everybody was encouraged to be a ham. I tend to think that maybe just specific people were allowed to be there, but that's interesting. I remember hearing your Russian hams back in the late 80s, the late 80s. Dan, bonjour, nice to have you here. WWV 20 megahertz fade here, but can hear okay. 22 Fahrenheit in Ohio, and 8 WJZ, and some station on 27385 lower side band. Yeah, I need to set up my CB again and all of that. I've actually, because if you would see that side is a big mess right now. I've dismantled the radios that were here because I wanted to have a clear desk for computers only. So I'm reorganizing what will be where in the shack here. And also, I want to reorganize it in a way that I'll be able to make shows from this side and also that side with the waterfall in the background and everything. So depending on what day it is, I could, or my mood, I just gonna switch from one to the other. And 6RLS FT8 on 28.07.4, hearing only east half of the US and Canada, plus New Zealand and Argentina from here in San Francisco Bay Area. Others from west half of US and Canada are skipping over. Keegan could hear Ottawa Station, 88.5, 89.9, and 91.5 via eSkip in Arkansas. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you here. So it was definitely nice to be part of the Cold War listening experience. Definitely was something very, very particular. So 29,960, that's out of the 10-meter band. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you here. 10 meters is open on because 29,700 is where it ends, unless you want to say 28,960. There probably are some. I'm going to check for FM repeaters. 2960, 29620. Any repeater here? So I don't see anything on 2962, 6466. Oh, maybe here. I think there's something here. Narrow FM. Just curious. I just saw something pop up. 29660. So I guess it might be a repeater that just appeared. 29660. What else do we have? Jay Dakota says, I like your projector on the wall. Your wall is on fire. Yep. That's called a firewall. Harry Anderson. Nice to have you here. KB3ZPX in Delaware. Pretty cool to have you on board. Chris Alpha Tango. Propagation is starting up nice for 10 meters. Yep. Also enough, we have several strong stations down at the bottom of the FM band, unfortunately. Here, the FM band in Montreal is a tough one to DX because they're everywhere. CIDX are in the 60s and 70s. I suspect any Russian typing to use a ham radio would get an unpleasant visit from the KGB. Any Russian trying, to use a ham radio. Well, there were hams, but I think that, I suspect that not everybody was a ham. You had to be an approved ham in some way. It's like Cuba. I'm not sure anybody that wants to be a ham is necessarily a ham in Cuba. Frank Ireland, PL368. Does the external ferrite give much improvement on medium wave over the internal? It does. It is better. If I listen to medium wave, I'll always use the external ferrite. Canadian Radio TV guy says, holy crap, 11 meters ever active. Yeah. Well, with the solar flex at 130, it's opening up the upper bands, and that's really cool. So this is nice. Dimitri, World War II usually used shortwave coded messages to their headquarters. Enigma device was used in the German Navy. There must have been a lot of coded messages here at back then. Today we talk about our number stations and all of that. Imagine how that must have been and at the time. VA3JPX 27025 AM, good 30 over. Yeah, let me plug it in here. It's 27025. Oops. Have to 27025. There we go. Some a lot of stuff here. So they just stopped, but I could see that big fat signal there. Man, sad that I'm not set up properly because I got to tell you that that would have been a great time for me to. Well, that guy is off frequency real good. That guy's on 27023. He's 2 kilohertz off. Real powerful, but 2 kilohertz off. And he looks like having some a little bit of distortion in his signal too. 27085. Look at that. There's a peak. There's a big fat signal there too. Pretty active. If I had my FT450 set up with the discount, would have been the day to make some contacts. Hopefully, I'll cross my fingers that tomorrow it might actually be as good. I'm going to try to set up temporarily on the FT450 on the discount. See if I can make a few contacts. I'll let you guys know if you guys want to try to what else do we have? So Christian Marcoux, talking of radio waves, my biggest and heaviest is cooking me my beef steaklets hungry man supper. Frank Ireland, can the external ferrite for the 368 be safely plugged into other radios with the jack? I realize most radios use it for shortwave, but I have a Texan 990X and 330. Well, it's not going to do anything much because it's really designed for medium wave. And the internal ferrite of the 990X actually is extremely good. You wouldn't have an added bonus of doing that, honestly. San Pharaoh's communist countries during the Cold War probably encouraged party members to be hams to get free surveillance and to make sure non-party members knew who was also listening. Yeah. Charlie McKee, I've noticed no one is using the Simpo scale for signal reporting. I'm still using it automatically during this restart of shortwave listening. The old 5x9 scene, the set way these days. Well, actually, the Simpo code is for radio shortwave listening, where the 5x9 is for ham radio, the signal reporting of ham radio. So because a lot of hams are listening, well, sometimes there are hams that will use their ham signal reports for everything. But Simpo is really shortwave listening. And, I always tell everybody to be careful using Simpo when you write to a station to let them know how good their signal was, because a lot of radio stations today, I suspect, have very little idea what it means. And so I always tell them, anyone that sends for a QSL and so on, you know what? Report in your own words how good the signal was. Also, don't just put the simple code. But usually, simple is more for the shortwave listening side. Um, Patrick Fitzpatrick, the jamming of Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty during the Cold War made listening a miserable experience in Ireland, especially 2531. You know, you guys in Europe were really close to those big gun jamming transmitters. So the lower frequencies were probably very, very difficult at times because of that. Here in North America, even though the jammers were there, we rarely, you know, we were annoyed at times, but most of the times we weren't annoyed enough. You know, those were there, but they were, even though they were there, they were weaker probably than what you guys were receiving them in Europe. So it's crazy. But I'm sure that in Europe, yep, the experience at times must have been crazy. Aubrey Young, nice to have you here. WK0Y. Um, Chris Alpha Tango, great amp, cheap radio. Chris Bowell, the Super Bowl channel on CB is booming in Minneapolis. Also hear what sounds like a Jamaican station on 27085. Art, during the Gulf War in the early 90s, Monitoring Times and Popcom used to post logs from listeners intercepting military communications from tanks and helicopters during the war on 30 megahertz. That's cool. Matt heard a station in Florida on the Super Bowl channel just now. Nick Sharp listened to Media Network of April the 6th, 1995, radio over some wartime occupation. VE5JHN, John, how did you feel the ham radio show did last week? I loved it. Will we see more? Yep, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna continue on that schedule of the last once a month, last Sunday of each month. I'm satisfied. I mean, you know, it's a less known channel, and it's going to take, of course, if it gets regular, it's going to take more listeners and more people are going to join in over time. But I felt it was okay, and we're gonna, you know, do the stuff. If I can be set up, maybe we could do a live contact on the air in the next show. That could be fun. Zen Pharaohs, the weird stuff includes AM voice at 2702 2.5. There are at least 3 who are quite messy. Yeah. Matt's going to grill some burgers tonight. I want one. What am I eating tonight? I've got a, I think it's, yeah, is it? Yeah, I think it's pasta with bolognese sauce and a little salad. I like pasta. Patrick Fitzpatrick, SIO, is mostly used now instead of Simpo. Yeah, and a lot of people do, like, you know, put it down at, you know, at just the three most important: signal interference and the overall report. Chris Paul, yes, in contesting, everyone is 5'9". Yeah. Mark Schmidt, nice to have you here from Maine. Nice to have you here from Maine. Always cool to have everybody here, as usual. Bobby's returning. Nice to have you here, Bobby Burgess. Charlie McKee, thanks. And says, God, I'm so old. The Blind Picker, nice to have you here. Rob W0RAB in Connecticut. Avid Tea Drinker, nice to have you here. Cool to have everybody on board. We're tuning in the upper parts of the bands right now. Like 11 meters and so on. Yep, burgers for the entire chat. Thank you, MDK2. David, yep, also looking forward to making live QSO with you here. That'd be awesome. I can't wait to be set up and do some do some uh, some contacts on other bands. That's kind of cool. When I did my contact with Alberta on 10 meters, it was really kind of cool. So if the bands are open tomorrow, I'll try 10 meters here, and I'll let you guys know if the bands are up. I'll do a temporary setup with my FT450 for it, and that'd be fun to see. Keegan, you get a burger. You get a burger. Everybody gets a burger. Don't worry, Charlie McKee. I'm a pretty good cook. I got a lot of recipes still. We have to exchange recipes. Sunway wants a cheeseburger. Now that's going to cost you extra. Sunwave, nice to have you on board from Oklahoma City. Christopher, am I receiving 62, 66 on Kiwi in Canada? Can receive it here from Italian SDR. I can try 62, 66. The sun is setting. See if I'm hearing anything, or at least seeing anything. So if I look at 62, 66, absolutely nothing. Not even a little peep of anything on the waterfall. Euro pirates are rough here. Got like on any of the Winter Olympic broadcasts over shortwave. I'm not sure what how much of the Winter Olympics of that could be on shortwave. I would suspect that maybe if you listen to China radio, but apart from that, not coverage per se. Probably. Patrick Fitzpatrick, yeah. You're 5x9, but can you repeat everything? Because I don't understand a word you're saying. That's a good signal for you. Chris Powell, no dinner for me tonight. I'm still full from the original Pancake House this morning. Zen Farrell's already had a burger before a show. After we'll have cognac soaked chicken breast. That sounds good. David says I have to add more wood to the firewall. Nora ordered the BTR 60 HF antennas last week. Hopefully they arrive next week. Cost 71.9 euros. Huh. Interesting. Robert Osborne, nice to have you on board from a frozen Niagara Falls. Sunwave, had to replace that awful wire I was using for antenna. Got some good speaker wire. Gained 2 bars of noise. Better antenna, better noise. Yeah, shortwave broadcasters will mention the Olympics, but not do a coverage of it. Canadian Radio TV guy, 11 meters popping. David, Jill, you had a CB whip antenna, right? Could you set that up with a counterpoise or a couple of radios to tune on 10? It's not a whip. I've got a Tram 1411 discount. It is already set up and tuned for 10 meters. And that's what I used to make the contact with the guy in Alberta, Canada the other day. Well, in December. I made my first HF contact with a guy named Rick in Calgary, Alberta, and which was Victor Alpha 6 Charlie Queen or Victor Echo 6. I don't remember if it's a VA or VE. N6RLS, BBC World Service should be on this. Tomorrow's Britain Queen Elizabeth marks her Platinum Jubilee, commemorating 70 years on the throne. I mean, the Queen wants people to plant a tree for the Jubilee. San Pharaohs have been playing during the show with putting a tuned loop of copper tubing next to uh, and inductively coupled with U-loop. It tunes with decent Q. Sunwave, lesson learned. Never use cheap automotive wire just because it has copper. Take notice copper wire can be not so good for HF reception if not right quality. Yeah, well, usually wire doesn't do that much. What probably changed maybe is the fact that connections are better. One of the things that copper has as a problem when if it's not insulated is it tends to degrade over time. Um, David says one of my antennas a one quarter wave wire for 20 meters, just with just two radials, also quarter wave length. Can say I've worked Saudi Arabia on SSB and New Zealand on FT8. Cool. Anyways, I'll be having in the next week probably I'm going to have my end-fed wire antenna that the guy is sending me that it's going to be interesting to test out on the bands from 40 to 6 meters. Norris is off on my dad's old VHF dog tracker collar and the tracking device, going to do some experiments with it. Interesting. So the Tram 1411, David is capable of 11, 10 meters and 6 meters and 2 meters and 70 centimeters transmit up to 300 watts. It's capable of a lot of power. It's designed for it. So you have two elements that you can actually unscrew and play with for the tuning of the antenna to whatever you're trying to. And it with the FT450 here, it actually with the internal antenna tuner, it kind of works great. So if 10 meters can be open tomorrow, I really want to try some. I'm going to try some 10 meters. I'm going to try to I'm going to be sending out a little bit of CQs out there and checking it out. So Sen Faros says is Streetsburg multicoupler will come on Monday, so I might be using that for a Wednesday show. This is cool to share the same antenna with all radios. It works great. I've actually put it on the desk now because he was hanging in the back. And since I play around with a lot of radios, I have to unscrew and disconnect and reconnect a lot of the antennas. A lot of the antennas for the different radios. So I actually screwed it on the desk so that it's easy to access and easy to change and plug in different radios on it. So pretty cool. So it's one of those really cool things that I'm looking forward. So yeah, for those that were asking, because I do get from time to time the people saying, so we're good for the next amateur radio show. Yeah, the live show is going to be on the last Sunday this month is on February the 27th. So February the 27th is when all of that's going to happen. So we'll be at 20 UTC. Sin Pharaohs, did you get the one that passes through by ST? No, I didn't get that option. I power I power the MLA30 with its own bias T. So it says I think just putting the bias T on the antenna side will be okay. So my bias T is plugged in as usual, and the antenna is what is going to the receiver is plugged in into the multicoupler. That's all. I'm using an external power, and it works great. It works great. So BBC will probably have a big coverage of that of the events with the Queen for sure. That's for sure. So Anybody have questions or anything about radio? And anybody else still listening to, if you guys want to check it out, 7400 7400 is the special radio Andorra broadcast. In French, it is a little stronger than it was earlier, but still almost impossible for me. Broadcast is coming out of the relay site in Armenia. So, Frank, Ireland. When I lived in my house, I used a end-fed long wire, about 80-foot wire strung into a palm tree to hide from the homeowners association. Worked pretty well. Since moving to condo in Venice, I am remotely connecting to a club radio. Okay. So I'll be checking that out. And of course, as the summer comes, I'm going to be checking out for, having like a permanent antenna and using that end-fed wire with a more of a temporary setup. What else do we have? Simon Templar, nice to have you on board. Yep, 10 meters been active. I'm going to try it out tomorrow. I'm going to set up my FT450 with a Trem 1411. David N6RLS says BBC just announced the Queen announces she wants Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, to be known as Queen when Prince Charles becomes king. EA3IEK, David, got you on the Tram 1411. Being a discount, I'd say it can be interesting to see how it actually performs on 10 meters and whether or not it allows the XQSOs when the band is open. Yeah, it is. It has the tall whip on top. That's why it has that 10-meter capability. So it has that tall whip on the top. Zen Pharaohs, one question I do have is, anyone heard any more about the rumor of new SDRs from AirSpy and SDR Play coming this year? I've heard something about maybe a new one, but I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of news from them. So, but definitely be interesting to see if they are coming out with anything new in the near future. Maybe I should write to them and ask them if anything new is coming to market. So looking at the bands, let's see here what we have. I'm just going to check a little bit of 49 meter band, 5995. I'm having a great signal, very good signal of Mali in French. It just sounds French. 5995, Radio TV Malienne. So if you guys want to hear Mali, 5995 is really good. With some talk in French. We have 5950 must be WRMI. Yep. WRMI in 5950. You have Radio Algérienne on 6040. Decent signal from CFRX Toronto on 6070. 49 meter band is pretty much open right now. Let's see what else we have. Man, WBCQ on 6160. Anybody heard the testing of WBCQ on 4790? I haven't checked. I checked the other day when they were saying it, and that was some kind of show on 6115 for WWCR. Very strong too. Looking at other signals here. There's some few things here that are interesting. What else do we have? Radio Man, nice to have you on board from Western Michigan. And no truck convoy protest here. Yeah. Frank Carolyn, 10 meters is dead a lot of the time, but when they're open, it's one of the best. Usually cannot communicate with adjacent states on 10 meter, though. No, 10 meter is really much better for long distance. But no, 10 meters is great. With the rising solar cycle, it's going to be open a lot more. Just check. I've noticed the threshold for 10 meters very often is about 100, solar flux of 100. So, check it out. If the solar flux is above 100, I think it's worth checking out. Roger Gibbs, just wondering what you think the average life of coax is. I know there are many different types. There are different qualities, but as long as no water is going in and it's not bent to a point where it can actually break inside or distorted too much, coax can be there for a pretty long time and still be great. It's really mostly the question of not bending it too much and just making sure that no water is actually going in. You'll notice. Usually, you notice when if especially with the transceivers, when your SWR starts getting high, something's not right. Simon Templar says SDR Play had to close its production facilities for a while. No reason given. I have the feeling a COVID outbreak got them. Oh, that's interesting. It's possible. That's possible. So no reason given. Interesting. I wonder why they didn't just, if I would have a business and I shut down because of COVID, I'd just say it out loud. It's like, well, we're going to be shut down for a certain time. Ian, just got my first shortwave radio, Texan PL680, having fun chasing non-English transmissions. Greetings from upstate New York. Cool. Have fun. Matt, 10 meter ought to be interesting when sporadic E season rolls along. Don't think I've seen that coupled with good solar flux yet. Both give different types of propagation, though. The solar flux giving propagation will give you propagation from a different area most of the time than the sporadic E will give you. Sporadic E will tend to be very, very specific into an area. Will focus on a specific area where often the solar flux giving 10 meters propagation gives you like everywhere where it's sunlit side of Earth is working. And I think you asked, and I missed the question. I think you asked if the sun was set. Sun is set here about 25 minutes ago. It's still I could still see the blue sky in the west, but it set 25 minutes ago. Oh God, I didn't hear that in a long time. I remember, I think it was HCJB playing that in WIFR, Unshackled, with their kind of radio plays. Mark, 5995, week in southeast Wisconsin, but can you hear French talk? So cool. Patrick Fitzpatrick, is there any trace of a signal on 3905? Pirate in Ireland, 60 over 9 there. 3905. Let's check that out. 3905. Not really. Nothing here. 3905. No pirate from here. But a lot of 80 meter activity with a lot of hams I could see. Matt, MDK2 SDR plays a bit overdue on a new SDR. They had been rolling them out in time for Christmas like clockwork, but nothing at all in 2020 and 2021. Maybe they're working on a 16-bit model, just speculating. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, also they're selling. Maybe I would. There's a little bit of competition out there, and I'd be curious to have numbers. How many of them are they selling? Are sales going down? That's maybe something else also to check out. Um, I don't know. Their biggest competition is pretty much the Air Spy. The Air Spy has one advantage over them, and it's the fact that it can use SDR sharp with all the plugins. But overall, I'd like the SDR play better because of its big frequency coverage. Zen Faros has to use lower sideband to get Mali because of QRM all over 6,000. Rogue Radio, the Overcoming Ministry on 5,900 coming in the UK. Yeah, that's broadcast from Bulgaria. That's why it's strong over there. Radio Man, wish me luck studying to get back on the amateur bands again. Taking my tech exam in a few weeks. Good luck, man. And maybe we'll have a contact on the HF bands at some point. That's cool. That is cool. Jay Prod, what made you go back into ham radio? Is there any specific thing that kind of pushed you into going back into ham radio again? J Projects, nice to have you here from San Diego, California. Simon Templar says SDR Play is the only thing we get from the UK at the shop. Sunwave says 17480, the Cumin number. Let's go check that out. Definitely a very strong signal. Very strong signal. No audio yet. Not hearing anything. But the signal strong though. The carrier is very strong. Matt says, yeah, the E layer being lower than the F2, it would be different. You can get multiple hops, but sometimes when there's a lot of E-SCUP, you get multiple hops, but it definitely is different. CFW, best of luck. Radio Man. What else do we have? Hey there, Estrella Garcia. Ian, how much of Latin America has reached you up in Montreal? I'm looking forward to take the antenna outside in the spring. You mean in international or radio broadcasters? Latin America or even South America is very quiet now compared to the past. You will have a few stations. Brazil has a few stations that are one is easily heard, Radio Nacional Amazona. But a lot of the stations have gone now. You won't hear that much from Central South America. You'll have HCJB 6050, 6050 is still there. You have Brazil. There's that Colombia, Montana one. There's a lot of very low power that aren't making it here. Robert Osborne, Giant Tiger was selling a new radio cassette player like the old Walkmans for $10. Well, Christopher, is there any news on the new Ethon E1 satellite? Nothing more than what we know, which is they say that it's still coming apparently. Frank Carolyn, yeah, Overcomer Ministries is what Brother Stair was. It's his cult, basically, and they're paying airtime on the Bulgaria transmitter site. What else do we have? Yeah, it's like the audio is very low. I'm hearing the digital hash right now. I am hearing the digital hash right now, but the audio is kind of low. Um, Seven Templar hearing the Spanish number, lady. Matt, I heard that HM01 finally updated numbers and files in the past couple of weeks after transmitting the exact same thing since September. Huh, interesting. Okay. Radio man, I'm retired now and in my 70s. I miss the hobby and now I have the time to get involved. Once again, now time to see if they can teach an old dog new tricks. Well, that's cool. And definitely, when you get more time, one of the big the big things. Yeah, Radio Educación in Mexico. Mickey Dalmage, by the way, is one. Yeah, that's also one that's heard quite often. I hear it regularly. Um, definitely when you have more time, a lot of the problems with the hobby and ham radio and all of that often goes around the fact that people are busy with life, and that makes it difficult to continue a hobby or do something, and sometimes you just let it go, and Sunwave, hey, something sounds wrong on 9900, either Radio Taiwan or CNR1. 9900 could be Egypt with very very low or distorted audio. They've been yeah. Yeah, that is radio. That's Radio Cairo in Egypt with their distorted audio. Very, very strong carrier here. Very, very strong carrier here. It's so sad that it's so distorted because it would be a great listen. So very distorted Radio Cairo 9900. So like Mickey Dalmich says, Radio Educación in Mexico is one of them. Yep, definitely. Iron Boy, what is 4006 kilohertz about? That is the U.S. Navy radio teletype, encrypted radio teletype communications feed. That's probably what you're hearing. Chris Powell, strong signal on 6485 upper sideband, could be radar, not sure. Daniel, those radio stations broadcasting that overcomer cult nonsense should be ashamed. Yeah, they're taking in money. But yep. I gotta say. Aubrey Young's got WWCR Nashville into Springfield, Missouri. So Charlie McKee coming back into shortwave listening after so long. I'm treating the reentry as a refresher course, and there is a similarity between new and reentry shortwave listening. But I'm pretty sure that's the U.S. Navy station on that frequency. Yeah, it's more like an FSK or something like that. It's a form of Stanag, if I'm not mistaken, but it's the U.S. Navy. It's there all the time. It's there 24 hours. I hear it all the time. It's from the East Coast. Charlie McKee, it is important to shortwave listening, slow manual scan, wait on frequency, listen, log. You got to take your time. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's been like that for 30 years, so they're not going to fix it. So, Yeah, but I think the one on the lower is the one that is Radio Cairo. Radio Cairo has been noted to be like 9899 point something. It's all over kind of weird, and it's possible that there's another signal mixed in somewhere. It could be on one of CNR1 mixed with it, or something like that. But that is Cairo, distorted Cairo, totally. But it's very strong. It's the problem with it's a problem with Radio Cairo for the past 30 years. So Chaz Tank, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky. Hope you're well and fine. Frank Ireland also was told by Universal Radio that Ethon has recently contacted them about color choices for the Elite satellite. They will honor my pre-order from January 2020 if radio gets released. So kind of interesting. What else do we have? No, I don't want to have links. Sorry. The least amount of links possible. What else do we have? So, anyways, Radio Cairo has been like that for 30 years. And from what, they know they're distorted and nobody can hear half of what they're saying and doing. But, I'll never be fixed, I think. And it's sad because how strong the signal is. If the audio would be good, we'd have a great station to listen to in Radio Cairo. So, Robert Osborne just finished programming U.S. Coast Guard frequencies into his old Realistic Pro 2021, having a lot of fun. Cool. Today's figures, nice to have you on board. So it's sad to see what that station has been like that for such a long time. Joe Gomez, nice to have you on board. So I don't think we'll ever see a fix on that or anything for the Radio Cairo, which is sad. They'd rather save their money and not broadcast. If I look on the lower sideband, so what's on the lower sideband? Whoops. Now 6899.7, some kind of tone, some kind of broadcast there. Wonder if it's all coming from the same transmitter or some kind of weird problem. So Radio Cairo, definitely back on the air, but back on the air without any possibility of understanding a thing, basically. So hey guys, we've been on for 2 hours and 43 minutes. I'm gonna take it easy for the rest of the day. I'm gonna go and cook myself a little supper. And then we're going to have. I'm gonna be listening to the radio tonight, and be posting on the Facebook group what I'm listening to. Hope that you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Oh. So we just have news from Sheldon Harvey that the February issue of the CIDX Messenger will be sent out to members this evening. So, guys, we're going to have some reading this weekend. And thanks, Sheldon. And don't forget, we also have the International Radar Report, and there's the Shortwave Festival coming up. Great stuff to enjoy our radio hobby. So as Sheldon says, if you want a sample copy, you can check it out. Oh, new email for that now. sample@cidxclub.ca. sample@cidxclub.ca. That is great. So more radio listening this evening. I'll post whatever is interesting in the Facebook group, and hope to see you guys on Wednesday. And take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. And keep that radio on and listen. Bye bye, everybody.